Yeah, go on. Been a minute. I acknowledge that. Took me a few weeks where I could even get more than a sentence out that didn't involve 50% of it swearing and cussing. You know, I've been registered as an independent my entire life. I graduated high school in 1985. I turned 18 in 1984, right? And I registered, so I voted. The first election I ever voted in was for Ronald Reagan. I voted for Ronald Reagan at the time. I didn't understand a lot of what he was going to do and the long-term effects of his trickle-down policies. I've lived my entire life exposed to that trickle-down neoliberalism bullshit. And I'm not going to apologize for my freaking language here. Just not going to do it. Part of the problem, and I was saying this quite a bit this past year, is that too many of the established Democrats, the elected people, the top people, have sold out the American worker a long time ago. They are so entrenched in that corporate money, that's all they can see is that corporate money, and fuck you, and fuck me, and everybody else who isn't in the top 10% of the country. It just boggles my brain. And yet it doesn't totally surprise me. It doesn't. I have been exposed my entire lifetime to this gradual dumbing down of the average Americans. We can go all the way back to the 60s and 50s and 60s, to be honest, because it started with our parents, my parents' generation, parking our fat asses in front of televisions all damn day long. And then later in front of cable television all damn day long. Because it was the great babysitter. It didn't educate us very well. It fell grossly short. So when the invention of the internet come along, and I don't think anybody really appreciated the impact that it would have. There was a whole lot of people that I knew back in the day that believed the internet would be this great leveler, that it would give us access to pretty much at our fingertips all the information about anything you'd ever want to know. And yet, and it does just that, and yet, what do we have problems with? We can't communicate with each other. The kids can't communicate with each other. Everything's on social, everything's on your social media. So is it surprising that the people who grew up being spoon-fed their facts and realities from the TV were lied to and convinced otherwise? But that's not the entire problem. Not really. And the current crop of Democrat leadership, most of them are not listening. They are not hearing what they're being told by people. Bernie Sanders, y'all can hate on him, you can love on him all you want, but that man has been straightforward since his earliest days. The man's not a multi-millionaire. He didn't become a multi-millionaire like Pelosi did as a politician for 20-odd years or whatever the hell her career was. Hello? So when they enacted Citizen United, this will be a good idea. So now we cannot individually, even as a group, compete technically with the uber wealthy class. Although Harrison's run actually proves that not necessarily true. She raised a lot, and a really absurd amount of money in such a short period of time. And in part because, Jesus, how many, I can't tell you how many damn emails they got every day. Every day asking for money, asking for more money. Even when she lost, they were still asking for money. Because that's all that matters to them, too, is their money and their donors' money. And F you and F me and our money. I have been saying this for the past 4 or 5 years. Why is it that I'm not doing as well as I was when dumbass was in charge? When Trump was in charge, the economy was slightly better for the average American. Slightly being the key word. You know, if you ignore all the problems that the pandemic brought, and ignoring the pandemic brought, and then the year or so that after that the corporations used as an excuse to keep gouging your wallets and gouging my wallets, and are still gouging your wallets and gouging my wallets. Part of the anger that a lot of independents have today is because the system does not work for the average American anymore. It simply does not fucking work for Joe and Jane frickin' public. Only if you're wealthy, only if you're rich, only if you're connected. That's part of the biggest part of the problem. So now what are we going to do? Now, what are we going to do? Well, I can tell you one thing. I'm going to tell you cold, hard facts, Jack. For all you MAGA fucks. You ain't ever going to live it down. We will never, ever let you forget your choice that leads to what's coming. That said, unless I see a serious change in the Democratic Party's idea on what ought to be working, and unless, Bernie Sanders manages to pull a rabbit out of his ass and create a third party that actually has a chance, I'll probably vote for the damn Republicans. I'll vote for Megan next. Because I want to see them destroy the damn system. I want that too. And that's what a lot of people voted for Trump. Is because they've decided that the established government, the good old boy network that's been running Washington for centuries now, has failed them, failed us, failed me, and most of you. Look, if you're making a couple $100,000 a year, piss off. You don't belong on the damn channel. Kick rocks. I don't know who you are. Don't care. Must be rough to be you. But the lion's share of us don't get that luxury. And we can break every goddamn bootstrap ever put in front of us and still not get off the ground. Still not get off the ground. So what the hell are we going to do in this next year? Once again, I've been homeless. I've slept in a car. I started over, literally. That's still fresh in my fucking head. I've been in my house going on this month. At the end of this month, we'll mark 6 years. We're beginning our 6th year in this house that we were able to buy after being homeless for 2 fucking years. Assuming, of course, we can afford to keep paying on the payments. My wife's on disability. She worked for Casey's, a convenience store here in the Midwest, for 20 fucking years. She is entitled to that because she paid into that system since she was old enough to fucking punch a clock. Same here. And now we got a whole bunch of fine individuals that just got elected into office with that. We have this belief that they have a mandate to completely wreck everything. And perhaps that's exactly what they're going to do. And it terrifies the shit out of me because I do not know where I can come up with an extra $800 a month if my wife cannot get her $1,000 a month disability check that she earned. So F you fuckers who don't think she is entitled to it. Once again, if you're over $200,000 a year, half $100,000 a year, good for you. Good for you. But the bulk of us don't get that luxury. Bad enough that we do a lot of jobs that nobody fucking wants to do that suck literally and stink literally and are miserable to do literally and get shit on the whole time for doing it. God. Nurses, teachers, the list just goes on of all kinds of people that are grossly underpaid for their value. And why is that? That's because the system has been slowly converting itself to this whatever the hell they want, a version of oligarchy, because that's what they want, is where the handful of people with the majority of the fucking money get to decide what you and I are going to do. Isn't that lovely? Daddy Trump and Uncle Elon have going to make things better for us. Yeah, God help us all. Seriously, God help all of us.